Hello, hello, beautiful patrons and new viewers. This is the Meet Your Higher Self class that many of you patrons that are current, you might have taken before, but now it's all condensed together and for others to view. So this is free curriculum here in the month of November 2023. It might have to go on sale after that here on patreon.com, but I'm allowing so many people to freely view what happens here. I am Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light on YouTube and here on Patreon. I also have a meditation podcast where some of the more in-depth podcasts I did a long time ago will also be posted here freely for you to listen to on Patreon. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Meet your higher self. Oh, it's great to do that. You can communicate with your higher self to help with so many aspects in life. But what do I mean when I say that? Who are you going to meet today? Well, we live in a society now that that term is thrown around very loosely, right? It's used in so many various ways. So I'm going to break down a little bit as to what the pitfalls are and who you actually are going to meet today when I say meet your higher self. Many people think that they have in meditation, sleep, what have you. And oftentimes that's not exactly your higher consciousness self. So we have a category of, let's say, parallel world selves, right? We have parallel worlds that play out as well. And oftentimes when people think they meet themselves, they might have same characteristics or you feel the same kind of vibe off of them as the vibe of your own. You automatically kind of go, oh, that's me. That must be my higher self talking to me. And oftentimes it's not. It is another version of you in a parallel world. On majority, I want to say the majority do average meeting at least three other of them from parallel worlds, either in their sleep, either in meditation, what have you. And what tricks us is that we do automatically think it's us that we're speaking to from a higher plane because they know differently, right? They just know differently. It doesn't mean that they're higher than us. It means that they know differently. But because they know differently, because of whatever world they live in, it might be a more high-tech world. It might be a more peaceful world. It might be a dark world. Because they know differently, we automatically assume that's our higher self. That is not the case. So on the majority, we meet maybe three of them, right? I'll use myself as an example. There is one, Courtney, who the world seems very similar to ours, and she runs like a women's shelter. She's got her PhD. She's a beautiful human being. Does she have her own issues? Yes. But back when I was working in case management here in my current life, right? I would actually go to her because she has a PhD to ask questions like, hey, I've got this going on. How do you think I should respond? Because she knew so much more than me. She understood things vastly more than me. She was very educated, and she had her stuff together very well. So I would go and ask her for stuff like that. There's another Courtney who, when I first met, it was kind of at a transition in my life. And when I met her, I believe through a meditation, she was very hippie. And I'm not against hippies, but I'm just not in my current here speaking to you that much of a hippie. I mean, she was a bit shorter than me. hair and dreadlocks. She would do the farmers markets. That's how she made her living. She grew everything and she would sell her vegetables, somewhat of an herbalist. Really cool lady, really cool. But when I first met her, I went, oh my goodness, is that who I'm going to become? Is that who I am? Because it was so contrast to who I am in this current life that it threw me off. I mean, I thought I had to get into herbs and all sorts of stuff, which is cool. But I came to find out, oh no, 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 that's just me in another world. But when I would have issues with farming, when I would have issues of like, I don't know how to handle these pests, or this red clay that I'm working with now in the South compared to northern soil, I don't know what to do. I would go to her and ask questions. And they come to me for questions also. Then there's a third one that I do not communicate with at all. I do believe that world is very dark. It's just a very dark, scary world. I have witnessed her doing many things that I are just terrifying, to tell you the truth. They live in a very big castle-esque home and do really dark stuff. Whenever I don't go there anymore, but I've been in dreams, kind of traveled into that world and saw her. And originally I thought I was going to approach, and then I saw her start doing something terrifying. Then I went, whoa, okay, now I'm really scared. And so I think every time after that, I kind of just hid until I found a way out, viewing her doing horrible things. Does that make me horrible? No, not at all. Not at all. That's whoever Courtney is in that world that operates that way, right? Opposed to the Courtney who is loving, farmer, wants everybody to succeed, especially in farming, right? And then there's the one who's helping battered women and is very intelligent and very successful. I've met those three. And a lot of people do meet. I've spoken to a lot of people that they'll ask me, who is this? I keep meeting them in like a world of technology, but we're meeting in like a bathroom, and the bathroom is so different. Or I keep meeting myself over here. Is that me? We end up tricking our brains into thinking that when we ask them questions and they respond, because they know different than us, right? They know different or better than us. They excel in that. That must be our higher self. That is not our higher self. It's just another self from another dimension. But oftentimes, like I said, this term is now being used very loosely. There is. So moving on from that, I'm just kind of discussing the differences, okay? There's also your higher dimensional self from higher frequency planes. Think of going into like 7 dimension, right? Because many people are moving from in and out of 3 and 5 right now, in and out of 3 and 5. So there is a 7th dimensional you that is watching everything you do. And you can now, because the energies that are available, acknowledge that they exist. Higher frequency dimensional self. Same current timeline, hopefully, right? We're kind of focusing on that in this class. What we're really focusing on is that when you put in the work, you heal, you grow, you develop, and we're going to talk about it, you automatically raise your consciousness and consciousness's frequency. So hypothetically, could the human that you are now become that 7D dimensional self? Yes. Who we are going to meet today is your current self at an older age. So if you are 60, that's fine. You can start talking to yourself at 65, at 72. If you are in your 20s, wouldn't it be valuable to communicate with yourself in your 40s and learn, do this, not do that, do this, start doing this, because this is really your path. Wouldn't you like to know that? So when we say higher self here for this curriculum, this means your future higher self of your current timeline. Your future higher self of this current timeline. Meaning you at an older age who by just living life would be older and wiser, are older and wiser because of how we develop as humans. We develop with knowledge plus experience equals understanding. And the more that is applied, knowledge, you read a bunch of books, you listen to a bunch of podcasts, knowledge plus experience, you live those practices. You live what you study. You walk 100 miles in someone else's shoes to gain the empathy, right? Experience. So knowledge plus experience equals understanding. And the more that occurs, the understanding becomes wisdom. This is why older beings do have more wisdom, because they've gone through that equation over and over and over again. So you will be meeting yourself by the end of this. You will be meeting yourself in an older state of awareness, wisdom, consciousness. That is what we're looking at today. So do know that there's so many things out there in the world right now that kind of group all of it together into your higher self. While your higher self can be, like I said, people get it confused with your parallel selves. People get it confused with much higher new earth 7D selves that we can witness and they're witnessing us. They get it confused with a lot of things. In this class, you will meet yourself at an older age to gain wisdom from you. So how does that work though? I already said that, let's say the 7D, right? We're moving in and out of frequencies. Attached to this, you have a few different attachments. You have your levels of consciousness chart. You have your higher chakra system chart, okay? You also have a meditation that will come later. If you can print them out, because you also have your values list that will come later, please print them out if you can. If you can't, maybe click on it while you're listening to this. That would be lovely. What do I mean about 7D? What do I mean about healing and growing and expanding, right? What do I mean by that? If you look at your levels of consciousness chart, and I am going to hold it up for you. I was thinking about putting this on the board or doing this and that. I'm just going to hold it up for you. This is the reality of how I teach often here on Stars of the Morning Light on Patreon, is that I kind of just go with whatever paperwork I need to grab. So if we start down here, this is where a lot of people still are. They're in the 3D. They're in the third dimension. And this is surrounded in the red, in the fear, the grief. Often people ask, why is the word desires there? Because desire tends to come out of fear. It really does. That's why it's so low. It's not the best word to use. We desire partnership because we fear we're never going to have it. We desire all sorts of things because We're afraid that we don't look as good as we should to others. Desire is really based out of fear. So, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, all of these are low frequency numbers. Fear is at 100. That's where most people operate. Moving on up, anger, 150, pride, 175. Pride causes separation. Pride is what the ego that is over, that is kind of ruling that human. Pride says, I'm better than you, or you're right, I'm wrong. Whatever the separation may be, it causes separation. When I say ego, and I want to pause here for a moment and explain that there are other videos about ego on YouTube and here on Patreon. I have a whole technique of cleansing the ego and keeping it right-sized. Us humans, if we are connected to the earth and it's still here attached to Gaia, we have an ego. It is a part of our system. You will never be able to get rid of your ego. Never, never, if you're a human here on earth. The problem is that somewhere along the line, our ego got damaged. It got bruised. It got hurt. It could be from any variations. Bullying at school, home life, whatever, right? And when that ego gets hurt and feels that it needs to be in defense because something just harmed me, right? Like fear is not a bad feeling. It tells us something's not okay with us. It tells us that something's not right. When we get prideful, it's usually because we're feeling some kind of injustice. It's what we do with it. So what often happens is over time, our ego that is supposed to be just a little baby, just a little baby ego within us that is there really for protection, that is there to talk to its sister, who is our intuition, and say, hey, something's not right here, how they just spoke to us, right? The ego and the intuition are brother and sister of each other. But what happens is when we get hurt, it starts to get bigger. Oh, I gotta protect myself. It starts to get bigger. I gotta protect myself. It starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as we get older, as many refer to as before the world happens to us, our ego becomes very large. And it's our ego and often our inner child that are ruling us instead of our mind, our consciousness. They are the ones making the decisions. And we live in a world now of egos talking to egos, egos talking to egos, right? With a lot of fear, a lot of pride, a lot of anger. So please visit YouTube. I know there's a video here. I know there's many here on how to help your ego at patreon.com. So I'm going to be moving forward with that from there. And see, as many of us are living in here now, many humans are still living in this. Some are shifting into 4, into what becomes 5. Let's talk about 4 for a moment. 4 is kind of that teeter-totter that does this with our mind. It goes like this, back and forth to 3, to 5, to 3, to 5, 3 to 5, right? 1 minute we could be doing really good and at peace. And then within moments, somebody cuts us off on the road and we are just angry. Teeter-totter, teeter-totter. So courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, inner light and reason, moving into the higher 5s, new humanity consciousness, inner wisdom, inner love. And this here, I guess you can see it better on yours, this very dark, right? what would be the color of your crown. This very dark, beautiful indigo. It says fifth dimension, oneness and joy, peace. And we keep moving up, folks. When you start getting into the non-duality, the awareness, the full enlightenment, right? That's the seventh dimension. So how do we do that? We begin to heal ourselves. We begin to heal ourselves, and we can do it by communicating with our higher self. It takes a little bit of courage to have the willingness to live life in neutrality so we can develop trust. I'm going to do that again. Follow my finger. It takes a bit of courage to have we're going to skip over neutrality, to have the willingness to then, oh, what's sandwiched in there? Neutrality at 250 to develop trust. How do we do that? Be the observer. Neutrality means be the observer. To walk out of the fear, the anger, the pride that says it's all about me. To walk out of taking things personally. Neutrality. Neutrality with all things. To be the observer helps us to then to start to develop acceptance, forgiveness, inner light and reason. See? How do we be the observer? How do we move into being the observer when it seems that everything around is so wrong and unjust? How do we just observe? Please go to the higher chakra system. There's reasons why I'm leading you all through this. Please go to your higher chakra system chart. Pardon me. I was around a bonfire for quite a while on about 2 nights ago, and I'm still catching my breath from all the smoke. This is your higher consciousness system, okay? We know these. And please pay attention and spend quality time with this level of consciousness chart. Spend quality time with it. Really review it. Really look at it. Down here, of course, we're using all these colors of the chakra system. So in the fourth, that green is your heart space. That's why I said you could be having a beautiful, great, peaceful day full of love, and then something jumps you back down into anger. It's that teeter-totter, it's the center. So and these have more chakras than you might be used to. I will be focusing, right? I will be focusing on the upper ones, okay? Spend time with this as well, though. Do you see this one over here? This clear white one that appears to be towards the back of the head. Towards the back of the head. And it says casual observer. You actually have a chakra there. You do. Many do not know it. Many do not use it when it wants you to use it as much as you can. So even behind me, it says, be the observer. Imagine all the time when you go out and give yourself the opportunity. Let's say you go to the grocery store. Before you go into the grocery store, instead of thinking how much you are going to dread going in there, think, you know what? I want to practice neutrality. I'm just going to observe. Kind of pull back for a moment and say, observer, help me. Because this is your chakra. This is yours. And view things from over here, not from here. View things from over here. You will be able to view other people differently, and including yourself. How do I react? What am I actually thinking? What am I doing? Am I racing around this store to get out of here real quick? Because I can tell you that's what I do if I'm not in the observer mode. Do I automatically kind of feel a little bit at peace because I know everything is perfectly fine? Do I observe how other people react to each other? Neutral, neutral. You're not attached, as this is not attached to your eyes of perception. This is over here. You're also not attached to anything that's happening. It's where we are able to see and develop that trust. And trust is the key for so many things now, isn't it? This also helps to work with your crown space, right? Your third eye and your crown, right? All in here. What the observer chakra does, if you begin to use it and operate in it and just allow yourself to view from back here, what ends up happening is your star consciousness, your beautiful self way up here. This is a chakra of yours, your higher frequency self begins to communicate down, and it goes through the third eye, and now you expand. It uses all of this and you expand. Please follow my finger. Your much higher 70, 90 self communicates, watches, communicates, watches, comes down through the crown, around the observer, into the third eye, and you expand, expand, expand in wisdom and knowledge and growth and healing. Use that observer. Please use it. This class does not go fully into all of the chakra system. That is definitely covered in other classes here at Stars of Morning Light on Patreon. I do teach here twice a month, and it is for an hour long each time. We are learning so much from how to work with pyramids, the chakras, all of it, healing, different theories. We learned so much here, and it's a community that they decide to start meditating together on Sunday mornings, working on their pyramid practices. And I partake with that as well. It is a community of like-minded people that actually care about the growth and learning and the process that everyone is in. We are a wonderful community. If you're looking for that, you'll find it here. So how do we even, beyond the observer mode, that you can always choose. It's a choice. It's a choice. I'm going to allow myself to kind of step back into the observer mode and watch from here and not from here. It's a choice. How do we use that with healing though as well? I just mentioned pyramids. We are going to look at the pyramid of self-ascension. You do not have this in your handouts. You don't. That is fine. Just view the screen for a moment. This, and I have been teaching the pyramid of self-ascension for quite a long time. I work a lot with pyramids. It's kind of what I'm known for, pyramids. This is my pyramid of self-ascension, right? Physical, emotional slash mental, spiritual, right? On a foundation of meditation and filled with gratitude. And of course, many would say that's a triangle. Yes, it's a triangle. If you actually take more of the classes here at Stars of the Morning Light, $5 or $8 a month, you get all of the classes. I do not deny anyone classes. You will learn how this really does incorporate a pyramid. So physical, emotional slash mental, spiritual, built on a foundation of meditation and filled with gratitude. This is the pyramid of self-ascension. This is your pyramid. This is actually everyone's pyramid, if they know it or not. I know psychiatrists that use this concept. I know many people in the psychological field that use this concept. I'm going to hold my hands up and imagine that, okay, down here in the corner, you have physical, right? Down here in another corner, you have emotional and mental. And up top, you have spiritual, right? That's what we're all working towards. That's why it's at the top. Now imagine, as we know with geometry, that let's say we neglect our physical, and every human neglects some aspect of their pyramid. It could be spiritual, but they are very focused on physical. Could be mental and emotional. Those are the ones that's like, I need to learn it all, but they neglect something else, right? We all know people that we usually hyper focus on one part and neglect another part. Well, as we know, if I hold it up again, let's say it's our physical. Let's say it's our physical. We're doing what we think we should be doing with meditation, and we have gratitude filling it, thinking it's going to hold the structure up. We're reading a bunch of stuff. We're doing all of our spiritual practices, but we completely ignore our physical. Well, as we know, that's going to start crumbling, 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 crumbling away. And with sacred geometry, if one starts to crumble, the whole structure collapses. So the key is balance. The key is balance in holding all of this. You incorporate all of it. You would pay attention to your physical based out of gratitude. I'm grateful to have this, the best tool I've ever been given, right? I'm going to keep my beautiful body tool in good shape, because those who work with tools, we know if you get an expensive tool and you keep it nice and clean, you keep it healthy, you keep it oiled, it'll last you forever. Same as our body. Based on gratitude, I'm going to work on my emotional and mental state. There's some stuff I need to recover from. There's some stuff I need to heal from. There's some stuff that I need to understand more and learn more about. Meditation is your foundation. Gratitude, which is your practice, gratitude fills it. And with taking care of that, you get to the top with your spirituality, right? So that is the pyramid of self-ascension. Why am I bringing this up? In the mode of your levels of higher consciousness chart, please study it. In the reason of practice being in the observer mode, right? So you can build trust and get to that inner wisdom. And now I'm talking about a pyramid. And yes, this is a pretty condensed course to give you some snippets as to what people learn here. So I am going kind of fast through it. Consider joining us. Unfortunately, if this is what we're supposed to be trying to achieve, right, in life, a well-balanced whole self, this is where most people live. And stick with me. This is, and most people know from psychology, this has been around for quite a long time. It is the victim, abuser, rescuer triangle or cycle. Some use a cycle chart, some use a triangle, right? I was introduced to it years ago as a triangle. So victim, abuser, rescuer. This just keeps circling around or back and forth, or sometimes up here, sometimes over here. We just keep, as humans, moving throughout all of this, right? A victim tends to abuse others, if they know it or not. Abusers love to become rescuers. See how a victim tends to become a rescuer in a martyr fashion. We just move around this in variations across all of our communications. This is what most people live in. Most people live in this. Gaining all the experience to just stay inside of this. So what do we do? How do we help ourselves get out of it and begin to more invest in our pyramid of self-ascension? How do we go from that, the victim abuser triangle cycle, into this? How does that help us, or what do we do? Well, I'm going to give you another triangle. This is our lovely healer, mentor, teacher. Healer, mentor, teacher. Healer, mentor, teacher. Some people have asked, why is healer at the bottom? Why is healer at the bottom? Like, spirituality is at the top up here, right? Because it takes working on all of this stuff to gain the enlightenment and inner wisdom and the inner light and the inner love, right? It takes a lot of this. It takes starting somewhere to heal a little bit. If you need to focus on physical, you go for a walk. If you know you need help and counseling, you make that call. Just a little, and then it keeps growing and growing as you heal and heal and heal, right? It's filling every step that you take to love yourself and heal. It's filling and filling. And eventually you become a mentor of others, because others are witnessing, oh my goodness, I know what you came from. Even if I don't express it to you, you are now a mentor because others are witnessing the growth and the change within you. Could be true mentorship, that you are now helping at least one or two other people, telling them they can do the same. They can heal. And eventually, when you have the entire thing full, you have a teacher teaching others they can do the same. Because now they're walking it. They're not just saying it verbally. They are a living example as a teacher for others. How does this play out? How does this play out, you ask me? I'm going to put this back up. The victim abuser rescuer triangle. Now I'm going to overlap what you just saw. Victim abuser. Begin to heal. Begin to heal. Begin to heal. Mentor, teacher. Mentor, teacher, right? And I know you went, oh, but rescuer's still up there. Mentor, teacher, go back to what we are mainly trying to accomplish, the pyramid of self-ascension. Spiritual rescuer. Spiritual rescuer comes from a mentor, teacher state of being. Spiritual rescuer. Some might call that as a messiah. Some might call that as a higher frequency being, master present self. Some might call that as love in all forms. The true spiritual rescuer for others is the one who has healed greatly. I'm putting this all in here because you're about to meet your future self. And that future self might say, hey, can you start doing this? Hey, I always wanted to do that and I never really got around to it. Or whatever the XYZ that your future self might say. Listen to them. Or they might have energy that you cannot imagine yourself having. In the current state that you're in right now, you cannot imagine, how did I get to that? How am I so at peace? I will tell you, I speak to my future self. She is definitely, I guess I've never asked her what age she is, but she's in her late 60s, early 70s or so. Um, my husband's already passed. I can see where I'm living. I communicate with her. Um, she is much quieter than I am currently. And when I first met her, I was like, wow, you are so quiet. You just spend apparently days and days and days in silence. and and I kind of was thinking, how would that even happen for me? I know now. And I'm actually I want it. I see it and I go, ooh, I see your peace. I see your inner wisdom. I see why you take hikes in nature pretty much every day with your 3 dogs. I see what you're doing. I enjoy that. I want that. Thank you for being me, right? But when I first met her, I was like, wow, there were some things. She also, her hair is much curlier than mine. I'm thinking because of the humidity in the South over, decades. Um, for some reason, she wears a lot of flannels. I think because of going for hikes every day, she covers herself up. She is always in like flannels and hiking boots. And I'm like, okay. So there's things that it's like it might throw you off when you first meet them. Because it's like, how did I come from this, who I am now, into that? And it might throw you off. I mean, make my living by communicating. And by the time I get older, I'm not talking to anybody really. That is like, okay, that's a big difference, right? So allow your future higher self to show you the expression of who you are. And even if it's very contradictory to who you are now, they might have done this. They might have healed, 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 healed. And that is hopefully the point. Hopefully, they have, based on the fact that they are older, and by the laws, they would have moved through a lot of this. They would have moved through a lot of this. If you are watching this video, then you already have a little bit of courage and willingness to be neutral and build trust. You already have a little courage and willingness to develop and look at things through a bit of acceptance, to keep going and going and going. If you are here witnessing, watching this, you've already begun. So the rest of this little course, and this is a freebie, so that's why it's going by kind of fast. You have that it is better to print it out and cut them up, but you can also just maybe look at it on your screen and rewrite them. You have a whole bunch of what is called values, personal values, right? Mindfulness, excellence, wellness, contributing, courage, all sorts of words there, all sorts of adjectives or ideals. That is a personal values list. I'm going to explain to you how to carry out the rest of this class. You're going to take those personal values list. like I said, print it out, cut them up, or write them on another sheet of paper for you. Listen to the meditation that is attached to this. In that meditation, you will meet your future higher self of this current life. After that meditation, go to the values list. Go to the values list, and this will also be typed up below so you don't forget. Immediately, I think the meditation is 20 something minutes. Immediately afterwards, go to those values, those values list, the personal values list. Look at the words. Put them into a category of like, this is a definite value of mine. This is a maybe value of mine. And this is not at all. I don't even think about this stuff. I could care less about it. This is a definite, a maybe, I don't care. Hear me out. Then go back to your maybes and pull like the top 3 out of them. And then disregard the rest. Then go to the ones that are definite and organize them into priorities. Organize them as to what is first. What is your value first? The reason I say do this right after the meditation is because you are going to connect with your future higher self. And they are still going to be very present with you and in you when you go to do your personal values. And I have never taught this in person or online, that once a person, after they come out of that meditation and immediately goes to their values list and they do the process, this is a yes, I care about. This is a maybe. This is no, I don't even think about it. And then they get to actually organizing what is top priorities of their values, their top values. There's never been a single person that was astonished by what was said, what was laid out. And it's because your higher future self is trying to communicate through those words as you just connected with them as to what you truly value. Not what you think you value now. Not what you think you value now, what you truly value. And with that, then, having this information, knowing, wow, these are actually my values in life based on who I will be, not who I currently am, with the little knowledge and awareness that I have now, but who I will become. That's their values, what I'm striving for. Having that information is priceless, because then you can live out the rest of your days in observer mode, holding sacred to values that you didn't even know you had. It will make a vast amount of difference moving forward. You can also continue to communicate with your higher self after this. Go into a meditation. Do this meditation again. You can listen to it however many times you want. Start communicating with them. Help yourself guide yourself. Help you help you. No one's going to know better than you on the decisions to make, what to heal, how to move forward, what your values really are. You are going to know best for you. So, thank you for attending the class. Right after this, go get your, however you need to use the personal values list, if you want to print them out and cut them up like I usually have my students do, because then they can disregard, put in piles, move things around. It makes it a lot more visual and tactile for everybody. It makes it more of a process. But however you need to work with them, please do not forget to do that after the meditation, immediately after. So I would actually get that prepared beforehand and then do the meditation and have it right in front of me. So right when I come back, I would start doing my values, right? So thank you for attending. Consider participating here with Stars of the Morning Light. We are a great community. The stuff you received today is talked about well in depth, very much so in depth here. I can't even express how in depth the healing, the growing, the knowledge, the expanding happens here at Stars of Morning Light on Patreon. I teach twice a month, an hour long each time, and there's other perks. Okay. So thank you for watching. Please go do the meditation, or do the meditation when you have that block of time for that 20 minutes or so meditation, and then time to spend with your value cards. Definitely gift yourself that. And the links are below. So thank you for participating, viewing. If you want to share this with someone else, go right ahead, consider joining us. And if you know what, if not, I'm just really happy that you decided to listen and do this class, because to me, it's a beginning. It's a very, very healthy beginning to sit with the levels of consciousness chart, to know that you have a whole bunch of more chakras that most people don't even know about, to know that you can access your future higher self, the one that automatically has more wisdom than you do right now, that you can speak with who you are, the, the one that loves you the most, right? So I'm happy you listened. I'm happy you're here. Consider joining us and have a marvelous November 2023 moving forward. Bye all.